What's up, YouTube? This is another post for June 19th, 2021. Hope your Father's Day weekend is going. Today I'm off, so I'll be able to post. I do have Amazon coming later. I do have another Amazon order coming. Was going to do laundry today, but I'm going to wait until Tuesday to do laundry. And if you like this video, give me a like, give me a share, give me a sub. I'm at 25. I definitely need more subs, so that'd be cool. And let's get on with the story today. And if this is a little bit long, I'm sorry, but I did just add some holiday stuff and some other stuff. So let's get into the story. So as of this writing at the time, there is a push for universal monthly income in Congress for roughly $1,000 a month for every American at the moment. As of this writing, I'm more stuck on stimulus payment, which is awesome. I don't have enough information to report on the UBI, as it's called, but we'll look into it into upcoming posts. I know they are in talks for the reconciliation plan, and hopefully by July 4th. I say by July 19th, they'll have a deal, we'll have a check in our hand, and we'll see what happens. So in today's headlines, what is in Biden's 1.8 trillion American Families Plan? Global corporate tax. History of Father's Day. Amid rising tensions, San Jose flea market owners offer $2 million to vendors. So here's the backstory. There's two flea markets in San Jose. There's Campo Flea Market, which is the one I used to work at, and there's one on Bay Area Road. Okay, the one on Berryessa, VTA is wanting to buy the right of way, so they can have BART to go through, which means it would eliminate portions of the flea market for Berryessa. So we'll go into that later. History of we'll call it D-Day, World War II. I don't know why I put 6. Graduation 2021. Waffle House employees band together to help coworker attend his graduation. History of Gay Pride. San Jose Flea Market. Uber CEO not happy with how long it's taken to pick riders up or price being charged. Walgreens teams up with DoorDash. Uber to roll out same-day delivery. Social media influencer, if you saw this on Instagram, charged for claiming Latino couple tried to kidnap her children. And in the pipeline, Las Vegas to Southern California, high-speed rail project is back on track. That's a longer story. Eviction ban couldn't go to Supreme Court. G7 commits to global minimum tax of at least 15%. Job trends, low inventory, airlines, transgender health protections, and California, second round California stimulus coming to residents. We'll see. Hopefully this week, based on my zip code and based on a follower I know. Her and her boyfriend better keep their eye out. If they see it, let me know. We're gonna talk about vacation. We're gonna do a stimulus update. YouNow stuff. I'm not yet ready to put daily broadcasts in the newsletter because my schedule is so not right. But I generally try to do at least one a night when I'm working. I've been doing dual broadcasts on YouNow, so hashtag DERCKKEARLE10 and Mammoth _ 44890 is my second channel for YouNow. And hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up at DerekCurley4040. And let's get on with the story. What is in Biden's 1.8 trillion American Families Plan? President Biden on Wednesday will outline the American Families Plan of an ambitious package that would call for $1 trillion in new spending and $800 billion in new tax credits and aim to significantly expand access to preschool, community college, as well as child care, health, and health care benefits. Biden will detail the proposal during a speech before a joint session of Congress in which he is expected to lay out his agenda for coming months. The centerpiece of the speech will be the Family's Plan, which is being rolled out less than a month after Biden unveiled a $2.3 trillion infrastructure proposal. The American Family Plan calls for a $200 billion program offering universal pre-kindergarten for all 3 to 4-year-olds, $109 billion for tuition-free community college for any American who wants it, $85 billion to increase Pell Grants to benefit low-income and minority students, and more than $4 billion in funding for larger scholarships, certification, and support programs for teachers. The plan would build upon provisions of the American Rescue Plan by extending the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits indefinitely and make the Earned Income Tax Credit expansion for childless workers permanent. It would permanently make the child tax credit fully available to the lowest income families while extending other aspects of the extension of the credit, such as the increase in the credit amount through 2025. The proposal also calls for the creation of a national paid family medical leave program. The $225 billion investment would provide workers up to $4,000 a month if they require leave of care of child care for seriously ill loved ones, deal with an illness or another serious reason. Other measures, Biden will call on Congress to pass a $45 billion investment in meal programs for children in low-income families, unemployment insurance reform, $225 billion for investments in child care that would include a $15 minimum wage for early childhood staff, and expand child care center accessibility. Officials said the plan would be paid for through tax reforms targeted at wealthy Americans, such as increased capital gains tax rate, a higher tax income rate, and increased IRS auditing enforcement on high-income individuals and businesses. The plan, which faces an uncertain future in Congress, does not go as far as some Democrats hoped. Some have pressed for a permanent expansion of the child tax credit, and it's not clear that lawmakers will be satisfied by the proposal to make part of the expansion permanent while extending other parts through 2025. Key Democrats signaled on Tuesday that the House bill would include a provision despite Biden not putting it in his initial proposal. Biden also has faced pressure from members of his party, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, to include health-related provisions, expanding health coverage, and lowering drug prices. The ideas had initially been expected to be part of the plan, but Biden did not include them in his final version. Asked why such provisions were not included, a senior administrative official said that the permanent Obamacare premium tax credit represents a critical investment, and insisted that Biden remains fully committed to negotiations to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. The White House views the proposal as a companion to Biden's $2.3 trillion infrastructure and climate plan he announced last month. An official said that the investments would be made over a 10-year period. The two plans combined total more than $4 trillion in government spending on top of the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief bill that Biden signed into law about 50 days into his term. The administration's two most recent proposals include tax increases that would pay for both plans in full over a 15-year period. Biden's proposal jobs plan would be paid for through an increase in the corporate tax rate, while Wednesday's proposal would roll back the 2017 Trump tax cuts by increasing the top individual tax rate to 37% to 39.6% for taxpayers at the top 1% income. Biden is also proposing an increase in the capital gains tax for households making more than $1 million to 3.96%, which officials have said would only impact 3% of taxpayers. Senior administration officials made clear that the proposal is meant at a starting point, and that Biden is open to hearing suggestions on what should be included and how to pay for the package. But Republicans are likely to oppose Biden's family plan and the tax hikes proposed to pay for it. And some moderate Democrats could also oppose the plan because of its large price tag and tax provisions. Biden and other top administration officials are set to embark on a publicity blitz after Wednesday's speech to educate the public about both the infrastructure proposal and the families plan, and win over support for both measures. The White House will face a complicated road to getting both proposals passed, even as officials have said publicly they hope to see some kind of progress on an infrastructure bill by Memorial Day and passage by summer. Well, we know how that went. The White House has not ruled out using budget reconciliation to pass Biden's proposals without GOP support, which Democrats resorted to in order to pass his coronavirus relief bill. So, global corporate tax rate. The leaders of the Group of Seven, or known as G7, have reached an agreement to set a minimum corporate tax rate at 15%. This is a major wish for the Biden administration, namely to stop the race to the bottom. The U.S. and U.K. have been losing business to countries with the lowest corporate tax rate. They had been asking other nations to agree to a minimum rate to level the playing field. The rate would apply to businesses in Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the US, and the UK. 6 G7 leaders will meet later this week when a formal tax agreement is reached. It will set the stage for 135 other countries that will meet for the G20 in July to follow suit. Even though global agreement was what President Biden and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen wanted, 15% was not their ideal number. The U.S. was hoping for a minimum tax rate of 21%, but that was never going to fly. So on to Uber. Uber CEO not happy with how long it's taken to pick up riders up, or prices being charged. Uber CEO said Tuesday afternoon that while driver supply is getting better as more people get vaccinated against the coronavirus, there's still plenty of room to go and demand for rides outpaces supply. With Americans getting vaccinated and governments easing pandemic restrictions, people are ready to travel and leave their homes again. Turning to rideshare companies, however, Uber and Lyft are still dealing with slow return of drivers. If the companies can't bring in enough drivers to demand, they could face annoyed customers who are having to shell out more cash and wait longer. Uber said last month it would spend $250 million on a one-time stimulus aimed at getting drivers back on the road. In its first quarter earnings call earlier this month, said they would continue to lean in with target incentives for new and existing drivers. Lyft also said earlier this month that it would use its cut from elevated pricing to fund investments to bring back more drivers. In terms of bringing out more incentives, Lyft President John Zimmer said at the same conference on Monday afternoon that the company would be smart about it. Both Uber and Lyft said this month they expect the supply and demand issues to press on business in the second quarter and see recovery in the third. So next is a revised plan, 2020 business plan for high-speed rail. Brightline West, an affiliate of Brightline, the country's only privately owned passenger railroad, is planning a 170-mile high-speed rail which would connect Las Vegas to the Apple Valley community in San Bernardino County. It's set to travel at a maximum speed of 200 miles per hour. Trains in Brightline West are expected to make a trip in half the time. Compared to driving, trains would depart every 45 minutes, with each offering a capacity between 600 to 1,200 passengers. While Brightline West originally expected to begin construction by the end of 2020, the project faced significant setbacks due to the pandemic, and one such being the lack of interest in private equity bonds allocated for the project by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the states of Nevada and California to pay for the construction. A letter by Brightline to the Nevada High-Speed Rail Authority obtained by USA Today attributes election uncertainty, the lack of approval of a COVID vaccine, lack of liquid cash in the market for setback. Subsequently, Fortress Investment Group, Brightline's parent company, halted the $8 billion project last year when it could not complete financing. Now, according to an announcement by Brightline West President Sarah Watterson, the company is preparing a revised financial plan that could see the project break ground in the second quarter of 2021 due to the improved market conditions. However, a definitive date has yet to be released. The news also arrives as President Joe Biden's proposed $2 trillion American Jobs Plan, which would provide $80 billion to Amtrak to cover its repairs, modernize existing rails, and create new connections between cities. Following this, Amtrak unveiled plans for an expanded rail system, which includes 2 passenger train lines connecting to Los Angeles with Phoenix and Los Angeles. So, D-Day, June 6, 1944, was the largest ambitious invasion in the history of warfare. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, Allied forces launched a combined naval, air, and land assault on Nazi-occupied France. The D in D-Day stands simply for day, and the term was used to describe the first day of any large military operation. So, have you ever wondered how Pride started? Gay Pride? Let's go into it. Here's a look at the LGBT milestones in the United States. LGBTQ is an acronym meaning lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, or questioning. The term sometimes is extended to LGBTQIA to include intersex and asexual groups. Queer is an umbrella term for non-straight people. Intersex refers to those whose sex is not clearly defined because of genetic, hormonal, or biological differences, and asexual describes those who don't experience sexual attraction. So here's a timeline. 1924, the Society for Human Rights is founded by Henry Gerber in Chicago. It is the first documented gay rights organization. In 1950, the Mattachine, Mattachine Society is formed by activist Harry Hay and is one of the first sustained gay rights groups in the United States. The society focuses on social acceptance and other support for homosexuals. In April 1952, the American Psychiatric Association diagnosed manual list homosexuality is a psychopathic personality disorder. April 27, 1953, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signs an executive order that bans homosexuals from working for the federal government, saying they are a security risk. In September 1955, the first known lesbian rights organization in the United States formed in San Francisco, Daughters of Bilitis, DOB. They host private social functions, fearing police raids, threats of violence and discrimination in bars and clubs. In 1961, Illinois becomes the first state to decriminalize homosexuality by repealing their sodomy laws. In September 11, 1961, the first U.S. televised documentary about homosexuality airs on a local station in California. June 28, 1969, police raid the Stonewall Inn in New York City. Protests and demonstrations begin, and it later becomes known as the impetus for the gay civil rights movement in the United States. 1969. The Los Angeles Advocate, founded in 1967 and is renamed The Advocate. It is considered the oldest continuing LGBTQ publication that began as a newsletter published by the activist group Personal Rights in Defense and Education, PRIDE, in 1966. June 28, 1970, community members in New York City marched through the local streets to recognize the one-year anniversary of Stonewall riots. This event is named Christopher Street Libertarian Day and is now considered the first gay pride parade. 1973. It's something that's a law firm, but I can't pronounce that word. I'll say Lambda, Lambda, Lam, BDA. If you know that word, write a meaning or if you know that word in the comments. Legal becomes the first legal organization established to fight for the equal rights for gay and lesbians. Lambda, has to be Lambda, also becomes their first client after being denied nonprofit status. The New York Supreme Court eventually rules that Lambda Legal can exist as a nonprofit. January 1st, 1973, a year before I was born, a year before I was born, Maryland becomes the first state to statutorily ban same-sex marriage. March 26, 1973, first meeting of parents and friends and gays, which goes national as of parents, families, and friends of lesbians and gays, PFLAG, in 1982. December 15, 1973, by a vote of 5,854 to 3,810, the American Psychiatric Association removes homosexuality from its list of mental disorders in the DSM-2 Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But we'll say 1974, Kathy becomes the first openly LGBT American elected to any public office when she wins a seat on the Ann Arbor, Michigan City Council. Elaine Noble is the first openly gay candidate elected to a state office when she is elected to the Massachusetts State Legislature. January 14, 1974, the first federal gay rights bill is introduced to address discrimination based on sexual orientation. The bill later goes to the judiciary committee but is never brought to consideration. March 1975. So technical Sergeant Leonard P. Matulovich reveals his sexuality orientation to his commanding officer and is forcibly discharged from the Air Force. 6 months later, Malkovich is a Vietnam War veteran and was awarded both the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. In 1980, the Court of Appeals rules that the dismissal was improper. Malkovich is awarded his back pay and retroactive promotion, which is sweet. 1976, after undergoing gender reassignment surgery in 1975, ophthalmologist and professional tennis player Renee Richards is banned from competing in the Women's U.S. Open because of a woman's born woman. Competing in the Women U.S. Open because of a woman born woman rule. Okay. Richard challenges the decision and in 1977 and in the New York Supreme Court rules in her favor. Richards competes in the 1977 U.S. Open, but is defeated in the first round by Virginia Wade. January 9, 1978, Harvey Milk is inaugurated as the San Francisco City Supervisor and the first openly gay man to be elected to a political office in California in November. Milk and Mayor George Moscone was murdered by Dan White, who recently resigned from his San Francisco board position and wanted Moscone to reappoint him, which later serves just over 3 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter. In 1978, inspired by Milk to develop a symbol for pride and hope for the LGBT community, Gilbert Baker designs and stitches together the first rainbow flag. October 14, 1979, the first National March on Washington for lesbian gay rights takes place. It draws an estimated 75,000 to 125,000 individuals marching for LGBTQ rights. March 2, 1982, Wisconsin becomes the first state to outlaw discrimination based on sexual orientation. 1983, Lambda Legal wins People v. West 12 Tenants Corporation, the first HIV/AIDS discrimination lawsuit. Neighbors attempted to evict Dr. Joseph Sonabin, you make your own joke, from the building because he was treating HIV-positive patients. In November 30th, 1993, President Bill Clinton, which I thought was awesome when he did that, signed the military policy directive that prohibits openly gay... oh, he did? Huh. Anyway, that prohibits openly gay and lesbian Americans from serving in the military, but also prohibits the harassment of closeted homosexuals. The policy is now known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell. November 1995, the Hate Crime Sentencing Enhancement Act goes into effect as part of the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994. The law allows judge to impose harsher sentences if there is evidence showing that a victim was selected because of the actual or perceived race, color, religion, national origin, ethnicity, gender, disability, or sexual orientation of any person. September 21st, 1996, President Clinton signs the Defense of Marriage Act, banning federal recognition of same-sex marriages and defining marriage as legal union between one man, one woman. Say that twice. As only as husband and wife. December 3rd, 1996, Hawaii's judge changed rules that the state does not have a legal right to deprive same-sex couples of the right to marry, making Hawaii the first state to recognize the gay and lesbian couples are entitled to the same privileges as heterosexual married couples. April 1997, comedian Ellen DeGeneres, which I think was awesome when she did that. She did that when I was it's 5 years out of high school. Ellen DeGeneres comes out as a lesbian on the cover of Time magazine, stating, "Yep, I'm gay." April 30th, 1997, DeGeneres character Ellen Morgan on her self-titled show TV series Ellen becomes the first leading character to come out on a primetime network television network. April 1st, 1998, Martin Luther King Jr.'s widow, Greta Scott King, asked the civil rights community to help in the efforts to extinguish homophobia. October 6th, 7th, 1998, Matthew Shepard, so sad. Matthew Shepard is tied to a fence and beaten near Laramie, Wyoming. He is eventually found by a cyclist who initially mistakes him for a scarecrow. He later dies due to injuries sustained in the beating. October 9th, 1998, Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney from Laramie, Wyoming, make their first court appearance after being arrested for the attempted murder of Shepard. Eventually, they each received 2 life sentences for killing Shepard. June 2003. The U.S. Supreme Court strikes down the homosexual conduct law, which decriminalized same-sex sexual conduct, with their opinion in Lawrence versus Texas. The decision also reverses Bowers versus Hardwick in 1986, the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that upheld Georgia's sodomy law. May 17, 2004, the first legal same-sex marriage in the United States takes place in Massachusetts. September 6, 2005, the California legislature becomes the first to pass a bill allowing marriage between same-sex couples. This is when Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger was in office, and he vetoes the bill. October 25th, 2006, the New Jersey Supreme Court rules that the state lawmakers must provide the rights and benefits of marriage to gay and lesbian couples. May 15th, 2008, the California Supreme Court rules in regards to marriage cases that limiting marriage to opposite-sex couples is unconstitutional. November 4, 2008, voters approved Proposition 8 in California, which makes same-sex marriage legal. The proposition is later found to be unconstitutional by a federal judge. You know how that one went. August 12, 2009, milk is posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. October 28, 2009, Obama signs the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act into law. I skipped too far. September 20, 2011, Don't Ask, Don't Tell is repealed, ending a ban on gay men and lesbians serving openly in the military. May 9, 2012, in an ABC interview, Obama becomes the first sitting U.S. president to publicly support the freedom for LGBT couples to marry. September 4th, 2012, the Democratic Party becomes the first major U.S. political party in history to publicly support same-sex marriage on a national platform and at the Democratic National Convention. November 6, 2012, Tammy Baldwin becomes the first openly gay politician and the first Wisconsin woman to be elected in the U.S. Senate. June 26, 2013, in the United States, Windsor, the U.S. Supreme Court strikes down Section 3 of the Defense of the Marriage Act, ruling that legally married same-sex couples are entitled to federal benefits. The High Court also dismisses a case involving California's Proposition 8. October 6, 2014, the United States Supreme Court denied review of 5 different marriage cases, allowing the lower court rulings to stand, therefore allowing same-sex couples to marry in Utah, Oklahoma, Virginia, Indiana, and Wisconsin. The decision opens the doors for the rights to marry in Colorado, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, and Wyoming. June 9, 2015, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter announces that the military equal opportunity policy has been adjusted to include gay and lesbian military members. April 28, 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court hears an oral argument on the question of the freedom to marry in Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, and Michigan. On June 26, the Supreme Court rules that the states cannot ban same-sex marriage. The 5-4 ruling had Justice Anthony Kennedy writing for the majority. Each of the 4 conservative justices writes their own dissent. July 27, 2015, the Boy Scouts President Robert Gates announces the National Executive Board ratified a resolution removing the national restriction on openly gay leaders and employees. May 17, 2016, the Senate confirms Eric Fanning to the Secretary of Army, making him the first openly gay Secretary of the U.S. military branch. Fanning previously served as Defense Secretary Carter's Chief of Staff. Also served as Undersecretary of the Air Force and Deputy Undersecretary of the Navy. June 24, 2016, almost done. I'm getting there. I'm getting close to our year. Obama announces the designation of the first national monument to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, LGBTQ rights. The Stonewall National Monument will encompass Christopher Park, the Stonewall Inn, and surrounding streets and sidewalks where the sites of the 1969 Stonewall Rising occurred. June 30, 2016, Secretary of Defense Carter announces that the Pentagon is lifting the ban on transgender people serving openly in the U.S. military. August 5th to August 21st, 2016, a record number of out athletes compete in the Summer Olympics Games in Rio de Janeiro. The Human Rights Campaign estimates that there are at least 41 openly gay and bisexual Olympians, up from 23 that participated in London 2012. November 9, 2016, Kate Brown is sworn in as Governor of Oregon. A day after she was officially elected into the office, Brown becomes the highest-ranking LGBTQ person elected to office in the United States. Brown took over the governorship in February 2016 without an election, and Democrat John Kitzhaber resigned amidst a criminal investigation. April 4, 2017, the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals rules that the Civil Rights Act prohibits workplace discrimination against LGBTQ employees after Kimberly Hively sues Ivy Tech Community College for violating Title 7, if I did it right. Comment below. What is V and 2 I's? Is that 7? Kate Brown read that. Circuit to choose, to be able to choose. Sorry. Okay, read that. Brown to go to the governorship. Okay, got that. June 27, 2017, District of Columbia residents can now choose a gender-neutral option of their driver's license. DC residents become the first people in the United States to be able to choose an X as their gender marker instead of male or female on their driver's license and identification cards. Similar policies exist in Canada, India, Bangladesh, Australia, New Zealand, and Nepal. June 30, 2017, the U.S. Department of Defense announces a 6-month delay in allowing transgender individuals to enlist in the United States military. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis writes that they, quote, We'll use the additional time to evaluate more carefully the impact of such sessions on readiness and lethality. Lethality. Approximately a month later, President Donald Trump announces via Twitter that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. November 7, 2017, Virginia voters elect the first openly transgender candidate to the Virginia House of Delegates. Danica Roem unseats incumbent Delegate Bob Marshall, who had been elected 13 times over 26 years. Roem becomes the first openly transgender candidate elected to the state legislature in American history. February 26, 2018, the Pentagon confirms the first transgender person has signed a contract to join the U.S. military. March 4th, 2018, Daniela Vega, the star of Oscar-winning foreign film A Fantastic Woman, becomes the first openly transgender presenter in the Academy Awards history when she introduces the performance of Sufjan Stevens, whose song Mystery of Love from the Call Me By Your Name soundtrack is nominated for the Best Original Song. March 23rd, 2018. I got the months wrong, I'm sorry. The Trump administration announces the new policy that bans most transgender people from serving in the military. After several court battles, the Supreme Court allows the ban to go into effect in January 2019. That's the year after. Sorry. November 6, 2018, Democratic U.S. Representative Jared Polis wins the Colorado governor's race, becomes the nation's first openly gay man to be elected to governor. June 30th, 2019, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signs a law banning the use of so-called gay and trans panic legal defense strategy. The tactic asks a jury to find the victim's sexual orientation or gender identifying is to blame for a defendant's violent reaction. New York follows California, Rhode Island, Illinois, Nevada, and Connecticut as the sixth state to pass such a law. September 22, 2019, Billy Porter becomes the first openly gay black man, to win the Emmy for Best Lead Actor in a Drama Series. We're getting close. February 10, 2020, the 19th Circuit Court of Appeals upholds a ruling that the state of Ohio must provide gender confirmation surgery to Andre Adamo, an inmate in the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. The ruling marks the first time a federal appeals court has ruled that a state must provide gender assignment surgery to an incarcerated person. According to the court opinion, quote, the gender confirmation surgery, GCS, was medically necessary for Adamo and ordered the state to provide the surgery. In July 2020, Adamo receives her gender confirmation surgery, and a May 2020 appeal by Attorney General is denied as moot by U.S. Supreme Court in October 2020. June 15, 2020, Supreme Court rules that the federal law protects LGBTQ workers from discrimination. The landmark ruling extends protections to millions of workers nationwide, as is a defeat for the Trump administration, which argued that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act that bars discrimination based on sex and not extend to claims of gender identity of sexual orientation. August 26, 2020. I'm going to read this part and then I'm going to take a quick break. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals rules in favor of former student Gavin Grimm in a more than 4-year fight over restroom policies for transgender students. The ruling states that the policies segregating transgender students from their peers to unconstitutional and violate federal law prohibiting sex discrimination in education. The decision relies in part on the Supreme Court decision in June 2020 stating that discrimination against people based on their gender identity or sexual orientation violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. When I come back, I will continue on November 3rd, 2020. Give me one sec. Be right back. Sorry. Throat was kind of owie. Alright, so let's go on. So November 3rd, 2020, the general election results in 3 elective firsts. So Sarah McBride wins the state senate for Delaware, District 1, and will become the nation's first person who identifies as transgender. Oh, I see what I did. Give me a second. DVR. Oh, sorry. DVR. Sorry, I had to change the thing for YouTube. Identifies as transgender. To serve as a state senator, Richie Torres wins the House race for New York District 15 and will become the first black member of Congress who identifies as gay. Maureen Turner wins the race for Oklahoma State House for District 88 and will become the first non-binary state legislature in the U.S. history and first Muslim lawmaker in Oklahoma. January 21st, 2021, our year, President Joe Biden signed an executive order repealing the 2019 Trump-era ban on most transgender Americans joining the military. Quote, "This is reinstating a position that the provision commanders and as well as secretaries have supported, and what I am doing is enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform," Biden said, speaking from the Oval Office just before signing the executive order. February 2nd, 2021, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg becomes the first openly gay cabinet member confirmed by the Senate, which I think is awesome. March 24th, 2021, Dr. Rachel Levine, the Assistant Secretary for Health in the Department of Health and Human Services, becomes the first out transgender federal official to be confirmed by the Senate. Graduation 2021. Waffle House employees band together to help coworker after attend his graduation, which was so cute. So, Timothy Harrison didn't have his cap and gown, or graduation tickets, or even a ride across town to get to the ceremony. But that didn't stop his coworkers at the Waffle House in the Center Point, Alabama, from making sure this 18-year-old ended his high school career on a high note. According to WVTM 13, an affiliate NBC affiliate, Harrison had been working at the Waffle House for just over a month and was finishing up on his senior year at Woodland High School in Birmingham. The young man has seen tough times and did not see a way to make it to his graduation. Now the teenager has a great reason to believe that goodness believe in the goodness of other people. On May 27th, Woodlawn High School is holding commencement across town in Birmingham Crossplex. Harrison did not have a ride, so he headed to work, which is last month for this story. The Waffle House employees put everything on hold. They stopped. Okay, they had a new mission to make sure this promising young man made it to his graduation. Now the teenager. Okay, sorry. May 27th, Woodland. One second. A little bit better. Even though now it looks like I'm a bit blurry. We headed to work to make sure. So the Waffle House team banded together. The Waffle House employees put together, they put everything on hold. We got that. They had a new mission to make sure this promising young man made it to graduation. The Waffle House team banded together, buying Harrison, dress clothes, including slacks, a new shirt and tie. They headed over to the high school to make sure he could get his cap and gown. And for those who got a copy of my newsletter, you'll definitely see the young man and the employee helping him. So in the caption, it shows him and the coworker. That's the young man going to graduation. Thanks to the Waffle House, when Timothy put on the new clothes and his graduation robe, it was transformative experience. Belvins drove Timothy 20 miles across town just in time for graduation, but the story didn't end with that commencement. After Harrison's story went viral, Lawson State Community College offered him a full scholarship, books included. He will attend college this fall, meaning this year, and the possibilities for his future are wide open. The young man who just over a week ago was struggling is now looking for a bright future thanks to the Waffle House. And it was certainly a day his co-workers will never forget. Belvin said it's the little things that can make all the difference. So amid rising tensions, San Jose flea market owners offered $2 million to vendors. The owners of the iconic San Jose flea market are offering to pay $2 million to fund to support vendors who for months have protested a development plan they say pushes them out. The owners of the Bum family, who are brothers, far as I recall, also have proposed a contribution of up to $500,000 to match donations from residents to help the vendors. The last-minute bargain announced Friday comes after weeks of negotiations over the fate of the flea market. Vendors fear the beloved flea market on Bay Area Road will close after the owners announced a massive development project that includes up to 3,450 new homes and an expansion of commercial space to as much as 3.4 million square feet. The project aligns with the city's vision for an urban village with density and housing near the BART station. The payout of $2 million and $500,000 matching grant will depend on the City Council's approval of the project. The Council is expected to vote on the plan June 22nd. Flea market vendors worry that the market will close permanently and as plans to develop the site move forward, potentially displacing hundreds of small minority-owned businesses. The San Jose Planning Commission recommended the development plan last month. The entire flea market site is zoned to include up to 365,000 square feet of commercial space and up to 2,800 residential units. Their proposal seeks approval to rezone the 61.5 acre southern portion of the site for up to 3.4 million square feet of commercial space and up to 3,450 homes. Cohen facilitated a proposal last month to preserve 5 acres of the space for an urban market, as the fate of the flea market is up to that point of unclear. Vendors have aggressively lobbied the city to preserve more space for vendors over the past few months. They organized a march from the flea market to the city hall on Thursday. Held a rally on May 18th, started a petition to meet several times with representatives from Cohen's office to negotiate a plan. Oh, sorry. History of Father's Day. Why do I have that as a second? Or was that an update? I think that might have been an update. So anyways, in the caption I have the picture of Leave It to Beaver's dad in the show Leave It to Beaver. But anyways, Father's Day was founded in Spokane, Washington at the YMCA in 1910 by Sonora Smartdodd, who was born in Arkansas. Its first celebration was in the YMCA on June 19th, 1910. Her father, the Civil War veteran William Jackson Smart, was a single parent who raised his 6 children there. We're going to call this an update to the San Jose Flea Market story. City leaders and San Jose Flea Market representatives say they're a step closer to preserving the beloved public space. On Tuesday, market representative council member David Cohen, whose district includes the flea market, said they reached an agreement to establish 3.5 acres for an urban market on the current site. The move means the flea market is safe from closure, as many vendors feared, and will be guaranteed in that space. The proposed 3.5 acre site, added to plans heard from the San Jose Planning Commission in March, is smaller than the current market, meaning dozens of vendors will have to shrink their business or find a new location. But Cohen has said he's committed to finding other spaces in the plan to hold more vendors. The current flea market footprint is 61 acres. The entire flea market is zoned to include up to 365,000 square feet of commercial space and up to 2,800 residential units. The original proposal, which was heard and then tabled by the Planning Commission, sought to approve rezoning the 6.15 acre southern point of the site for up to 3.4 million square feet of commercial square and up to 3,450 homes. Plans to include the flea market were unclear until Tuesday's agreement. The city and project proponents call the agreement a victory for affordable housing advocates, public transit users, and the flea market itself. Some flea market vendors, however, want a say in the process. Gonzalez, along with fellow vendors Mariana Mijij, we're not going to go there, formed the association in March. The group wants to help their vendors, many of whom don't speak fluent English or are undocumented, negotiate with the city and developers. On weekends, the Bay Area Flea Market Vendors Association encourages people to sign a petition opposing the city's plan and demanding more transparency from developers. As of Wednesday, more than 6,100 people signed the petition. A vendor supervisor from the flea market's management escorted Gonzalez off the site Sunday and banned them for at least 2 weeks because of the group's solicited flyers. The plans are part of a broader city initiative spurred by the nearby BART station, which envisions a dense housing and commercial neighborhood centered around the transit uh, station. Advocates say the plan will cut down on the city's carbon footprint and encourage more people to take public transit near where they live. A multi-business shopping center anchored by a Safeway opened in the area just last week. Maintains that the market will continue to be open during construction of the project and vendors will be given a 1-year notice before being required to move. He said exact plans for transitioning into the new public market in which vendors will be chosen to occupy. It will be drawn up in the next coming months. San Jose City Planning Commission will consider the plan again on May 12th with Tuesday's added proposal. Flea market market owner Brian Bum called the plan a tremendous asset. Gonzalez said that the added market is a great start, but he will continue to push developers to add more vendor space. So retail. Walgreens teams up with DoorDash, Uber to roll out same-day delivery. Chicago drugstore Walgreens boosts alliances on Tuesday that it will partner with DoorDash, Uber Technologies Incorporated, and others to launch same-day delivery in 2-hour windows for retail products in the United States. Rivals including Walmart and CVS Health have since the start of the pandemic doubled down on getting a product to doorsteps within hours as shoppers become increasingly accustomed to quick turn delivery. Walmart in February said it is raising wages for stocking and digital workers who fulfill local online curbside pickup orders. Walgreens same-day purchases made online or via the app will be packed by store workers and then picked up by delivery drivers. There will be no minimum order amount, and customers in most markets will pay a delivery fee of $7.99. That will go to Walgreens. Cruise declined to provide financial details about the company's contract with DoorDash, Uber, and other delivery firms, but they said they had been chosen because they have the geographic reach to meet the demands of Walgreens' more than 9,000 stores. Tipping and motivating drivers has been a major sticking point for many retailers trying to ramp up same-day delivery operations, and Cruise and Walgreens said this summer plans to start encouraging drivers to tip up front on its app, and some drivers are avoid taking delivery orders for retailers whose customers are unlikely to tip. Last year, Walgreens began letting shoppers pick up retail products in-store and curbside and via drive-thru. So Instagram. Social media influencers are charged for claiming Latino couple tried to kidnap children. Instagram influencer who went viral in October when she accused a Latino couple of attempting to kidnap her children at a local craft store has been charged with 2 counts of giving false information to police. The Sonoma County District Attorney Office has charged Katie Sorensen with 2 misdemeanor charges, one for giving false information to a police officer and another for giving false information to a police dispatcher. Sorensen, who is white, gained attention in December after posting 2 videos to her Instagram account in which she alleged that a pair of shoppers had tried to kidnap her 2 kids at a Michael's store in California, city of Petaluma, where, as we all know, Mark Klass lives. Petaluma police, in the days after the videos were posted, said Sorensen's claims against Sadie and Eddie Martinez lacked merit and cleared the couple of any wrongdoing. The newspaper reported the couple, long-term Petaluma residents and parents of 5 children, told the Argus Courier on Thursday that they were very happy with the news of charges filed against Sorensen. The couple told the newspaper that they learned of Sorensen's allegation when police released screenshots of security footage of the Martinez's at Michael's, where they had gone to purchase decorated baby Jesus. The district attorney's office told the newspaper that Sorensen had been notified of the charges with an arraignment hearing scheduled for morning of May 13th. When contacted by The Hill, Charles Desrow, Sorensen's defense attorney, declined to comment until after his client's arraignment. So, the pipeline. The U.S. government issued an emergency waiver for fuel delivery rules after the Colonial Pipeline was hacked. The pipeline carries 45% of the East Coast fuel supply, and it has been offline since Friday. The new rules say that the drivers in 18 states can work more hours than normally permitted, to make up for the supply chain disruption. But this will not be enough to be equal for normal pipeline delivery. The disruption is expected to increase fuel costs between 2 to 3%. So how did this happen? Okay. Well, hackers were able to penetrate the computing system of Colonial Pipeline and install ransomware. That means they control the system and locked out the company while they demand a larger ransom payment. The group of hackers is known as DarkSide, and they also claim to have stolen 100 gigabytes of data from the companies and threatened to post it publicly. Hence, PTA. Colonial did not say if it planned to pay the ransom, but most companies end up paying when this happens to them. It is cheaper than rebuilding the entire system, and in this case, time is of essence. The Wall Street Journal points out the consequences of infections. The Wall Street Journal points out that consequences of an infection spreading to the deep layer of any energy company. Many machines that control pipelines, refineries, power plants are well past their prime, have few protections against sophisticated attacks, and could have manipulated to muck with equipment or cause damage, cybersecurity experts say. So now about the infrastructure plan, which is California. California Governor Gavin Newsom proposed a second round of 600 state stimulus checks on Monday, hastening California's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, hoping to expand the payments from low-income residents to also include middle-class families, and noting that doing so would ensure benefits for 2 out of 3 state residents. The proposal to deliver $8 billion in new cash payments to millions of Californians is part of a $100 billion economic stimulus plan made possible in part by a budget that has swelled with a significant windfall of tax revenue. Surplus for the governor put at $75.7 billion. Newsom also proposed $5 billion in double rental assistance to get 100% of back rent paid for those who have fallen behind, along with as much as $2 billion in direct payments to pay down utility bills, proposals that were supported by legislative leaders on Monday. Under the governor's plan, which still requires approval from the state legislature during state budget negotiations. Households earning up to $75,000 in adjusted gross income will be able to receive $600 direct payments. If they didn't receive a payment in the first round this year. State officials said the expanded program, when combined with the first round of state stimulus checks, would provide financial assistance for assistance to two-thirds of Californians. Newsom said the state stimulus proposal represents the largest state tax rebate in U.S. history. In addition to the $600 checks for eligible Californians, the governor is proposing that families with children get an additional $500, along with $500 in direct payments to immigrant families without legal status. In January, the legislature extended a moratorium on eviction through June 30th for those who pay at least 25% of their rent each month, offering to pay landlords 80% of the total amount of rent in arrears between April 20th to March 2021, as long as landlords agree to forgive the remaining 20% and not pursue evictions. The governor's new proposal would provide funds to cover the remaining unpaid rent for low-income tenants. The stimulus payments are part of what Newsom is calling a California comeback plan, pitched as he fights back against a Republican-led campaign to recall him from office. State election officials recently announced the proponents of the recall have turned in a sufficient number of signatures to trigger a special election in which voters could remove Newsom from office this fall. Millions of Californians lost jobs or income since the pandemic began more than a year ago, and the state offered businesses to restrict operations and people to stay home. As vaccines and social distancing have significantly reduced the spread of coronavirus, the state is poised to reopen much of its economy on June 15th. Still, many Californians are still struggling to pay rent and cover their expenses. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf welcomed the new round of stimulus help, which she said is, quote, an unprecedented moment where government is coming to the aid of those who need it most. This would be a second round of state stimulus check proposed by the governor. In February, the governor signed legislation to provide low-income Californians with $2.3 billion in state stimulus checks. The money was provided for residents, including those earning $30,000 a year or less, who received the state earned income tax credit. If it also went to people who file tax returns with an individual taxpayer identification number, but who do not have a social security number, the bulk of whom are immigrants in the country illegally. Families that file with an identification number and receive Cal EITC have been eligible for up to $1,200 in the first round. The state this month that so far $2.5 billion Golden State stimulus payments worth $1.6 billion have been issued. Sorry, my page keeps jumping. Families have okay. State officials said the cash payments were triggered in part by a 1979 voter-approved state constitutional amendment that requires tax rebates when revenues exceed a cap on government spending. The appropriations limit loosened by subsequent ballot measures has been significantly higher than state spending levels for a better part of the last 4 decades, allowing lawmakers to exclude billions of dollars in spending from the final calculation. This year, awash in cash from a tax windfall and facing historic slowdown in population growth used to determine the maximum spending allowed. Newsom administration projects $16 billion in excess revenue by law. Half of that must go to public schools, and the other half to taxpayer rebates, in this case targeted toward middle-class adults and families. The projected windfall is largely the result of the strong capital gains and investments earned by California wealthiest taxpayers. The taxes paid by the top 1% of state earners have accounted for as much as half of all income as income tax revenue in some years. Top finance officials in the Group of 7 G7 on Saturday announced their commitment to push for a global minimum tax of at least 15% in international tax negotiations, a rate advocated by the Biden administration. The G7 finance ministers and central bank governors said in a statement following a meeting in London that they strongly support the multilateral negotiations to address the tax challenges arising from globalization and the digital of the economy, and to adopt a global minimum tax. The G7 consists of the United States, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United States. The announcement is in line with the priorities for the Biden administration, which proposed a global minimum tax rate of at least 15%. Last month, the G7 finance officials said in a statement that they would push for the rate to supply on a country-by-country basis. The negotiations of international tax issues have been taking place among a broader number of countries at the Group of 20, G20, and the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and G20 is hoping to reach a political agreement by July. If an agreement is reached on a global minimum tax at the OECD, it would encourage countries to establish mechanisms to ensure that corporations pay a minimum level of tax on their earnings regardless of where the companies and profits are located. Implementation could take some time once an agreement is finalized, since countries would need to update their domestic laws and possibly also their tax treaties. The Biden administration sees a deal on a global minimum tax rate as a way to help prevent U.S. companies from becoming less competitive. If the U.S. increases its corporate taxes, President Biden has proposed paying for his infrastructure plan in part by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate from 21% to 28% and by raising a U.S. tax on corporations' foreign earnings to 21%. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen praised the G7 announcement. Quote, she said in a press conference on Saturday that the effects on a global minimum tax are far from over, and that the administration looks forward to working with the G20 and OECD in the coming weeks to finalize a deal. The OECD is also working to reach an agreement that pertains to the location of where corporate offices are taxed. The G7 finance officials said in a statement Saturday that they commit to reaching on equitable solution on the allocation of taxing rights, with market countries awarded taxing rights on at least 20% of the profit, exceeding a 10% margin for the largest and most profitable multinational enterprises. Some countries, particularly in Europe, have enacted digital services taxes in an effort to collect revenue from large tech companies that have many users in their jurisdiction but pay little in taxes here. U.S. policymakers have strong opposed their taxes, arguing they unfairly target American tech companies. The G7 finance officials said that they will provide for appropriate coordination between the application of the new international tax rule and renewal of all digital services, taxes, and other relevant similar measures on all companies. The national eviction ban may go to the Supreme Court next as the Biden administration continues to fight to keep it in place. A group of landlords sued the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and won. The judge said that they could evict tenants despite the CDC's nationwide ban on evictions. The Biden administration asked for a stay and got it. That means that the evictions cannot happen while this is being further challenged up in the court system. So the challengers, the landlord groups, are challenging that stay in appeals court and asking the Supreme Court to hear this case too. If this is successful, it could end the eviction ban for everyone because landlords would be able to use this ruling to evict and put tens of thousands of evictions in motion around the country. So the big picture. While these eviction bans have helped prevent many families from homelessness, the ban does not cancel the mounting back due rent for tenants, nor does it help landlords with expenses such as property taxes, insurance expenses. Landlords still have to respond to maintenance requests for tenants, whether they are being paid or not. The government has offered little to no help to property owners, as it has varied widely by state. The whole thing is a serious kicking the can down the road problem. So next, low inventory. So the world's running low on everything, in case you might haven't noticed. It isn't just consumer products that are suffering. Manufacturers can't keep up with raw materials to make those computer products. According to Bloomberg, shortages, transportation bottlenecks, and price spikes are nearing the highest levels in recent memory. Rising concern that a supercharged global economy will stoke inflation. In Argentina, the government has intervened by halting beef exports for 30 days to try to control inflation, showing that the government is willing to forego profits to keep the economy from inflating out of control. So job trends. Is your job literally killing you? A new study says that working long hours kills 745,000 people per year. This comes from a Worldwide Health Organization and International Labor Organization. The study analyzed workers between 2000 2016, and in 2016 alone, 398,000 people died from stroke, 347,000 died from heart disease due to working more than 55 hours per week. This was a 42% increase from heart disease and a 19% increase from stroke. It was not clear how the study controlled for other contributing factors such as diet. The study says that 9% of the global population works more than 55 hours per week. The good news is if you can call it that, is that is schedule will kill you slowly. Most of these reported deaths were among people 60 to 79 years old who had worked long hours between the ages of 45 and up to 74 years old. Count for cargo weight. So when I come back, I will talk about cargo weight on flights. Be right back. Sorry, I'll be right with you. Sorry, I had to update my Amazon order for later. Come on, stop it. More cancel. So how much am I canceling? 24. Okay. Oh, I did that already. Okay, cool. Alright, sorry. A little longer than I planned. Wanted to correct something before the order shipped out. Alright, so the title is This is Heavy. So, airlines in the US may soon have to weigh passengers in order to account for cargo weight on flights. The new FAA rules require that surveys should be done at airports representing at least 15% of on airlines' daily departures in a secure area of the airport to ensure that connecting passengers are included and should select passengers at random. This is involuntary and passengers have to be allowed to opt out, with airlines then selecting another passenger at random and not and not the person who is next in line. The old way of estimating flight weights is outdated because the average weight of an American human has gone up over the decades. Biden administration reverses limits on transgender health protections. The Biden administration announced on Monday that it will reverse Trump-era limits on health care protections against discrimination of gay and transgender people. The Department of Health and Human Services (HHS) said that its Office of Civil Rights will enforce bans on sex discrimination, applying for sexual orientation and gender identity, in a shift from the former administration's policies. The move comes after former President Trump's administration ruled to remove Obamacare's non-discrimination protections that prevented healthcare workers from denying care to patients based on their gender identity or sexual orientation. The Biden administration announced on Monday that it will reverse Trump-era limits on healthcare protections against discrimination for gay and transgender people. The department... I think I copied again, I'm sorry. The previous administration's HHS policies kept protections against discrimination based on race, color, national origin, sex, age, or disability, but then the update narrowed the definition of definition of sex to only mean biological sex, cutting out transgender people from their protections. The decision to reinstate the previous protections followed a Supreme Court decision last year that concluded federal law against sex discrimination in the workplace also safeguarded gay and transgender people. Said in the HH notice that the change effective Monday intends to reflect the Supreme Court's ruling in the healthcare sphere. The department also cited research in its release that 1/4 of LGBTQ people who said they have ensured discrimination, delayed, or avoided healthcare under the new policy. The Office of Civil Rights, OCR, will use the adjusted definition of sex discrimination when processing complaints and completing investigation. Hospitals and other healthcare providers can now face citations or sanctions. If it is determined they discriminated based on sexual orientation and gender identity. The Trump administration drew praise from religious conservatives and condemnation from LGBTQ advocates when officials unveiled the rule during Pride Month in June. At the time, the Kaiser Family Foundation found that the restriction removed protections based on sexual orientation and gender identity in 10 existing regulations, but a day before the rule was set to go into effect, the federal judge blocked aspects of Trump's policy and said the recent Supreme Court decision on workplace discrimination contradicted the new policy. Trump officials argued that the healthcare discrimination policy was different from the workplace discrimination considered in the Supreme Court, according to the Associated Press. And in sports, SF Giants will play the Phillies versus the Giants today at 1:05 p.m. Oakland A's will play Athletics versus Yankees at 10:05 a.m. Sunday, the Giants will be in Modesto at 2:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and also broadcasted on MILB.TV. And of course, there's always football. Week 1 will be August 14th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Kansas City Chiefs versus the 49ers. Finally, on to the fun stuff. So as far as vacation, so next vacation will be in August, last of the fun of the year, until next year. So I will be taking Well, you're coming with me too. August 13th to the 29th of 2021, and we'll be staying out the extended stay here in San Jose. August 14th to the 18th, America Downtown. Won't book the room until we know that we actually have our stimulus money though, and it sounds like I'm hoping. See if I'm right. I'm saying before June 19th, the way Congress is going right now with that reconciliation. Or there's a backup plan. Still getting the room from an extended stay for 4 nights, I hope. But planning on vlogging on Instagram live that week, having a fellow YouTuber, former YouNower, as you know who she is, with me to vlog with me. Might go to Monterey Bay Aquarium or Santa Cruz or San Jose Pride, depending on which one we fall onto. We'll update the closer we get closer to August, and so, well, stay tuned. And if we go to Monterey Bay Aquarium, we will leave San Jose at 9 a.m. in the morning. It takes like an hour and a half here from San Jose, and for opening, and also might have a friend hang if she can get a time off same time as me. So we'll see what happens. So that's the partial upcoming. And in weather, as far as 19th of today, they're saying the highest at the time I wrote this was supposed to be 83, mainly sunny sky with 2% chance of rain. West northwest 12 miles per hour. West southwest winds shifting to northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Record height for this day was 101 and average is 80 degrees. Sunrise is at 5:46, so you got like 20 more minutes before that sun starts really getting warm. Sunset tonight is going to be 8:31. Tonight mostly clear, lows 56 Fahrenheit. North-northwest winds shifting to south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. West 6% chance of rain with 11 miles per hour record. Low 33, average low 56. And if you're in Fresno, Clovis people, today it's supposed to be 105 degrees sunny skies, highs near 105 Fahrenheit, winds northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Record high 108, average high 93. Sunrises at 5:40, sunset is 8:21. Nighttime 66 degrees, clear, lows around 65 Fahrenheit, winds northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Record low is 51 degrees, average high is 63 degrees. Sun rises at 5:40, sunset is at 8:21. And if you're watching from Ecuador, tropical, highs will be 83 with 25% chance of rain, winds south-southwest 8 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy skies will become partly cloudy later in the day. High 83 Fahrenheit, wind south-southwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunrise 6:21 a.m. and sunset (6:21 p.m.). Okay. Nighttime 70 degrees with 24% chance of rain. Southwest 10 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy skies. Lows near 70. Winds southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And if you live in Springboro, Ohio, for those people who know that is, 80 degrees, mostly sunny skies today. High around 80 Fahrenheit. Winds southwest. Winds 5 west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Record high 97. Record high. Really? Did I do that wrong? I'll call that record low. Would be 83. Record high is 87 for the date. Sunrise 6:09 a.m. Sunset 9:07 p.m. Scattered clouds with possibility of isolated shower. 35% chance of rain developing overnight. Southwest 8 miles per hour. Low 63. Winds southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of rain 40%. And if you live in Arizona, your day temp will be 112 degrees. A few passing clouds. Otherwise, generally sunny. Highs 112 Fahrenheit, wind southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour, record high 118, record average 100 degrees. Sunrise 5:18 a.m., sunset 7:40 p.m. Nighttime 83 degrees, wind southwest 14 miles per hour, clear skies, lows 83 Fahrenheit, wind southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour, record low 51 degrees. Average low is at 68 degrees. And hopefully I went beyond up to 3 hours, I hope. Anyways, if you like this video, please give me a like, give me a fan, give me a share, give me a subscribe. Always check me out on YouNow, always check me out on Instagram. I will reply to your messages, at least on Instagram anyway, within reason. So hope you like this video. I will post one again, possibly sometime next month or maybe sooner, depending on what updates I have. So I hope you enjoy your Father's Day weekend and have a great day.